This is what this is about, edit default settings. And we'll look at floor. See, I'm left clicking on it and then clicking the edit button. I'm going to set the ceiling. The default is like 9 feet. I'm going to change the default for my plan to 10 feet. And you might well ask, why is it 121 and an eighth instead of just 120? Well, take a look here at the rough ceiling. This input here. Let me hit the tab key so these values will catch up. I hit the tab key, by the way. So the rough ceiling is 121 and an eighth. Same thing I put up here. That's the structural height of the ceiling. Now, that's the bottom of the ceiling joist is 121 and 1/8. And you can see here at J. Let's see, where's J? There it is, ceiling finish J. It's going to be a little bit lower, isn't it? Because you're going to hang sheetrock up there or whatever, and then so that'll give you your finished ceiling height. And if you've ever been around building and so forth, when you see an 8-foot ceiling, it's often not exactly 8 foot. It's 8 foot and a fraction or slightly less. It depends on how it was framed, and then they put material on the structural framing, and then that actually forms, and also the floor can be built up. And what Chief Architect Incorporated has done is given these inputs here. Let's just left click on one. So that's the current thickness of the ceiling joist, 2x6s. And the ceiling finish, 5/8. 5/8. There's no material assigned here. In Chief Architect, you can assign additionally a material and so forth, but you can change this thickness if you feel like you need to. If you're going to use 1/2-inch sheetrock, you would change it to 1/2 inch instead of 5/8 sheetrock. Floor structure. It's set up for 2x12s by default out of the box, and with 3/4 inch decking on top. Well, if you're going to have a concrete monolithic slab, well, this default setting won't fit your building, will it? If we're going to do concrete, let's just OK out of this and go over to foundation. And you can see it's set to walls and footings. I'm going to change it to monolithic slab, which then grays out this area here because monolithic slabs don't use walls or stem walls. And this is the size of the footing. We'll just leave that there. Point that out once I get the thing built. But anyway, the point is you customize to the way you're going to build before you build it. We'll click OK. Let's just draw. I need to get out of CAD tools. That's this thing here. We'll go over to default configuration. Select the wall tool. I haven't even looked at wall defaults, but I'm just showing off here. If I was actually starting a project, I certainly would have paid great attention to that. Now I've got a room here, so I'm going to select it, take a look at the dialog box, go to the floor structure. Well, how come it didn't pick up my foundation setting? It's still set to the default, 12 and 5/8. That's because there's another default I have to set over in Edit Default Settings. And that's, let's see, is it plan? No, it's framing. I told you I didn't outline all this before I started. Let's take a look at here. Foundation. Now this should have picked up from what the foundation defaults that I set. And, okay, that looks all right. We'll look at the first floor. And why does it use, let's see. Not quite sure whether I have this default setting at joist width at 2.5 inches. I'm going to set it to 1.5. That's more usual. When you use lumber, 2.5 inch would be more like some sort of laminated beam, which is kind of a little unusual in most construction. Now here's a first floor tab, ceiling structure, and there's where that 5 and 2x6s are coming from, ceiling structure. I'm not going to change that because that's pretty common. But what most people miss is the subfloor for floor 2. If you're going to create a second floor, well, this area here determines what's going to be there. Let's see, spacing, 16OC. You can change that to 24, where it's, or whatever you consider you need there. But it's all these input boxes. Now this is grayed out because there isn't a second floor yet. And there's little refinements here, whether the framing laps or butts lap is chosen by default because that's the most common way. There's less cutting involved to make things butt. Okay. All right. So here's this floor structure definition, and that's why it keeps insisting on 2x12 and so forth. And this is the foundation tab, subfloor for floor 1. I'm going to change this. I'm going to delete this layer here. Oh, where's the delete button? Oops. All right, I'm going to set that to 0 then. And we'll set this to 4 inches. And I'm going to set, just to be fastidious, I'm going to set the material, even though it's set to 0, I'm still going to give it a material to concrete. And here, this is 4 inches. I'm going to change it to concrete. I clicked on the plan material button. So now it's 4 inch and set to concrete. Now let's take a look. I clicked all done out of there, and let's take a look at this graphic. And so you picked it up. L. Let's find L over here. Where's L? H-I-J-K-L. Here it is, floor structure. See, it's just like I said it in defaults. This stuff doesn't have any intelligence. You have to tell it what to do, and that's what I'm talking about in my post to you guys. It does what it's told, and that it doesn't do anything else. And if you don't tell it, then its defaults tell it what to do, and that's what it does. Okay, so we have a 4-inch slab there now. And we'll just further check that with an elevation camera. And there's the 4-inch slab. And let's see. Yeah, there's the 121 1/8, the auto dimension. So it's done what I told it to do, and it's really not smart enough to do anything else. I don't want to make this tutorial any longer than necessary, but so I'm going to end here. But take the time to diddle around with the settings and make it real to yourself what they do and what they're for. It's time well spent, and it's a lot more fun than just reading the manual or watching video tutorials, because you're actively involved in learning and gaining knowledge from it. Okay? Thank you for watching.